All right, in this very special episode of the Pete the Planner Show. Oh, by the way, Happy New Year. I think it's January 2nd. Actually, it's not. I'm pre-recording it. It's like December 26th. Anyhow, we're not here. But I wanted to play my interview with my buddy Mason King from the IBJ podcast. This is where I make a ton of predictions about the economy and the market and all those sorts of things for 2026. Also, you get to sit and giggle at all the terrible predictions I made in 2025. Actually, they were pretty good. I missed a couple, but for the most part, they were pretty good. So anyway, enjoy, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, y'all.
This is the IBJ podcast for the week of Monday, October the 8th, 2025, brought to you by Taft. I'm your host, Mason King. Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. My surroundings might sound a little bit different this week. I am out on my porch enjoying the lights in my front yard. We're going to spend at least part of December following up with guests from the last year whose stories deserve a progress report. And this week, that means holding Pete the Planner accountable for bold predictions he made in January about the economy and U.S. fiscal policy in 2025. If you're a fan of baseball, a comparison to IU grad Kyle Schwarber would be fair. Advance congratulations, by the way, for the $120 million deal Kyle is expected to sign with the Phillies. Pete hit a bunch of these out of the park, especially those related to Trumponomics, and he whiffed on several others. Because he's a big-hearted guy, not afraid of making mistakes, Pete will present his predictions for 2026, including positive portents for nuclear energy, his advanced whiff of a stale housing market, and a tough prognosis for higher education. His pick for the biggest story of 2026 might require some advanced explanation. You might have heard that the United States Supreme Court is expected to decide soon whether President Trump's emergency tariffs, levied earlier this year, are invalid. If the justices find that the president exceeded his authority by using emergency powers to impose tariffs on nearly every U.S. trading partner, which, to review, were paid by the companies that imported the products, not the countries or companies from whence they came, the importers could be entitled to big refunds. As the Washington Post has reported, unwinding almost a year of Trump's core economic policy likely could have serious consequences for the government's finances and on the bottom lines of companies throughout the U.S. economy. It's impossible to know how much money ultimately could be in play, but estimates of how much money the U.S. had collected in emergency tariffs were generally in the neighborhood of $90 billion when the Supreme Court heard arguments in early November. Here's our conversation.
As always, it's my pleasure to welcome back to the podcast, Peter Dunn, a.k.a. Pete the Planner. How are things shaping up for you here at the end of the year?
Busy. But I mean, who isn't? Who isn't? Right now, I've spent a lot of time trying to hope I'm right about a couple predictions from last year's show that could squeak out in these last few weeks. And then also try to dial in my thoughts for next year, which I'm feeling a lot of pressure about today, if I'm being honest.
Okay, well, that's fine. You know, it's the holidays. It's a time for introspection, but also for holding you accountable for bold predictions you made in January.
I'll tell you, throughout this entire year, I would find myself texting you or emailing you and saying, we nailed it on certain ones. And then there's ones that we missed pretty bad that I've chosen not to own to you in our email.
Yeah, I've got one that I think we talked about sort of off camera that is still, well, what would you say?
Yet to happen?
The jury's still out.
Well, I'll say this. I know we're going to get into it, and all of this foreshadowing is just delightful for everyone. There is one that came to fruition within the last couple of weeks that I'm so excited. Well, it's a terrible thing, but I'm really excited I was right. But it's awful, but I'm really glad I was right.
This is one of the things I was just thinking about today that is different about people in the news business is that, you know, some people will see a story on TV that this is a tragedy or just, you know, just something that is just awful and go, oh my God, that's horrible. And a news person will see that story and go, my God, that's an amazing story.
So since it's the holiday, we do a little story time with Pete here for you. Years ago, I hosted the Indiana Broadcasters Association Awards for the year, where I was the MC, I was the host, I'm reading, and story of the year. And so the story of the year, to your point, Mason, one was like house fire kills 9.
Oh,
Another one was like car accidents. And so I read I read the nominees and I said, "Hey, before I announce the winner, I just want you to know that you're all about to wildly clap for a tragedy." And then I read the winner and I was asked to not host again. That is a true story. 100% true story.
I've got a true story for you. This is how I knew things were gonna work out with a long-term girlfriend of mine. When we were in Chicago for an event, and we were walking by a bar, and we could see on the television screen, like a breaking news alert, and then, the chyron pops up and says, "Princess Diana killed in a motor accident." And my girlfriend was crestfallen, and she goes, "Oh my god, that's horrible." And without even thinking, I said, "My god, that is an amazing story."
So that didn't work out for you.
No, and that was kinda when I figured maybe this isn't gonna work out.
Actually, truth's buried within that. That didn't work, that did work out for her, you know? That's
That's
the
exactly
that's the
right.
that's
I
okay,
my understanding is she's very happy now.
sure, great.
Okay, well, let's start with some low-hanging fruit real quick, courtesy of the Trump administration, and this wasn't necessarily a prediction, but it's prediction adjacent. We agreed in general back in January that the economic agenda of the Trump administration would be these 4 things.
Okay. Oh, I'm so
Ready?
excited.
You ready for this?
Yes.
Prioritizing tax cuts and extending the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, number 1.
Okay. Okay.
Decreasing regulation in several major industries.
Big time. Wait, did
Number
we hit
2.
the first one, do you think?
What's
We hit
that?
the first one. We hit the first one, right?
Hold on.
Oh, okay.
We got a Graham Slam working here. 3, increasing tariffs on imported goods from trading partners like Mexico, Canada, and China.
It's the
And
best day of my
4,
life. This is the best day of my life.
cracking down on illegal immigration.
Okay, so basically, I'm James Carville, is what you're saying. Like, I am a political analyst. I know how these things work.
I don't know. I like to think that we sort of mutually agreed on them.
Okay, sure. You can have some of the credit. What percent? Um, okay. There's one of the deregulation ones I wanted. This is the one that happened in the last couple of weeks that
Yeah.
I made a comment and it was super glib. Like, it was real dark. I was like, I think Ponzi schemes and financial malfeasance from financial advisors, this is going to be the golden era of Ponzi, I believe is the phrase that I used. Because of the amount of deregulation and how the SEC is going to be impacted by the Trump administration, I said financial crimes, people will look the other way, which is a really dark thing to say.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, a fellow was pardoned for that multi-billion-dollar scam, which is and it took me until late November to be right about that one, but I was right.
Mhm.
See, but hey, the golden age is still ahead of us on that.
You said specifically, this is a direct quote, "I will bet the farm the
Ooh.
Tax Cuts Act will get extended." Lo and behold, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act was extended.
Lo and behold, I still don't own a farm.
This is, really significant. I mean, I don't think, that we came up with these independently of, President Trump, talking about his agenda, in various, locales. Um, that's 4 major policy points that they made a lot of progress on.
I think that's a really great point, is that we can react to the good and bad of all of this, but it'd be hard not to argue that this administration has done more in 1 year, no matter how you feel about it, than just about any other administration in history.
Mhm.
Right? I mean,
Yeah, I wasn't around for FDR, and I know that they moved really fast. But, yeah, I mean, it is I think everyone believes it's bewildering. We're not used to government working this fast.
I would note that the skeleton key to that whole thing is the deregulation, though, and within deregulation is uh shirking the norms. Like you create Doge, you Oh, I'm trying to not do what I'm about to like, you ignore courts, right? Then you're starting to you can make more progress.
Now, speaking of regulation, and I don't know, maybe this actually is deregulation. You predicted Trump would not regulate AI. Um, I can't think of an instance when he tried.
He has certainly not. I mean, and the weird thing, I don't know if we're gonna get into crypto. I said crypto would go bananas.
Actually, the word you used was bonkers, but yeah.
Okay, they're interchangeable, both B words, the ones you can say on the radio at least.
Mhm.
Um, I I'm gonna am I right or am I wrong? I mean, it's taken it in the shorts the last couple of weeks, but
Mhm.
it was a solid year. It didn't get to 400,000 dollars a Bitcoin, which, I think at the time I was saying I think that would happen over the next 5 years or so, but I don't know. I don't have to take a win on all of them. Maybe that one's undetermined yet.
Why did crypto do so well up until recently?
Uh, it's a good question. I think economic uncertainty certainly doesn't help crypto, and there's a great deal of economic uncertainty in these uncertain times. I also think that some of the deregulation efforts of crypto, the people who were looking forward to them and to use the deregulation to appropriately or inappropriately exploit an opportunity, I think they were unable to do so. Right? It's deregulation works if and exploit is a negative word. The connotation of exploit is bad, but in some sense, it's if people can take advantage of an opportunity that they see because of deregulation, then deregulation works, right? And so I think that hasn't taken hold yet.
Okay. Also, in terms of deregulation, I believe you said that the banking industry would do very well, and that wasn't a giant surprise. But what's your take on that?
Yeah, let's see if I'm right about that. I don't. I think I felt wrong about that most of the year. What do you think?
Well, if you just want to look at it in terms of how well did bank stocks do, they did very well.
Yeah, JP Morgan is up. Where's the year to date on that?
Yeah, I had them at about 32% year to date.
Yeah, I'm a genius. Like I was saying, yeah, banking stocks are
There you
doing
go.
great.
Yeah, Wells Fargo
So
was up like 28. Yeah.
okay, so I was right there. Here's the thing: I'm so good. I forget. Uh, here's the funny thing: I'm terrified of this year's predictions. I know we're having fun of where I was right last year, but I'm feeling not very confident what I'm about to share with you soon.
Okay. If there was a fifth economic agenda item, like a fifth beetle, I would say it was lowering grocery prices. Now, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, that's the U.S. government, food prices in August 2025 were 3.2% higher than they were in the year prior, or in August of 2024. I think that was a little bit greater than the inflation rate.
I always think that's funny, and by funny I mean unusual. That inflation has come down from the pace it was at, but inflation still goes up, right? It's like it's not 11%, it's 3%. That doesn't mean prices came down. It just means they increased less. So, I was wrong about that one.
Okay.
How about my Elon Musk predictions there? Did you capture that in your compendium of information?
I did not. What do you recall there?
I said, based on the relationship at the time, and relationships evolve. I mean, you showed a woman a television on the streets of Chicago and she no longer talks to you, right? We just covered this.
I'm not saying she's a Luddite. She just thought I was callous.
Oh, look, I'm not a doctor. I don't know how these things work. I said anything associated with Elon Musk was going to benefit greatly
Mm,
in 2025.
got it.
And for a while, I looked like a mad genius.
Yeah.
But then there was a quarrel. I don't know if you've read about it. Um,
Yeah, they had a
Tesla,
falling out.
yeah, a little bit. Tesla stock's up 12%, but for Tesla stock, that's like being down 50%.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think I was right, but that one turned, just like that relationship. I think I'm wrong on that one.
When we're talking more in terms of, let's say, a story of the year, I mean, what's going to be like the biggest economic current of 2025? This might have been recency bias, but you mentioned the LA fires. when so much of Los Angeles, especially the hills of Los Angeles, went up in flames, and you thought that that would have, I don't know, if devastating is the right word, but I mean, I don't know, what is the right word?
I said, yeah, I thought it was going to have a devastating impact on the housing market just because of materials and those sorts of things. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know, but I think there were so many news stories between now and then that maybe there is a significant impact. We just don't know about it because of the 24-hour news cycle. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a really good point. If we lived in Los Angeles, obviously we would have a much better take on that.
What do you okay, so let's play the game. We are now at the end of the year. What was the story of the year?
I would have to say tariffs,
Yeah.
and not just that tariffs were levied, but they were levied in a very complex and confusing way that continually changed, and it was difficult for really anybody to draw a bead on what the ultimate impact of those tariffs would be. Although the Trump administration, uh, wanted to emphasize that it was bringing in revenue for the government.
One point of clarity, the question you asked last year was, what is gonna be the economic story of the year? And I said the fires, although that feels like not necessarily economic. I think there are other stories of the year for 2025 that aren't necessarily directly economic. I would say, the immigration state of our country and deportations, but since we're talking economics, I'm with you. I think the tariffs, for sure, selfishly, and I've shared this with you before, the amount of times I was gaslit on national television over the spring and summer saying, "I think the jobs report is gonna be this or that or this or that," and I was wrong every single time based on what I thought the impact of the tariffs were gonna be, only to find out in the fall that all those numbers were wrong, I was actually right. That is why selfishly, I believe tariffs were the story of the year.
Okay, so we're in agreement.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I want to take an AI break real quick. That sounds horrible. It sounds like I'm going to hit a button here, and that somebody else is going to host a show for a while.
Ooh.
Um, there's a lot of talk about a potential AI bubble in the stock market. Is that something you're attuned to at all? Do you think that is just hand wringing? Because I mean, it's been going on for so long. I mean, it seems like it is.
Here's my weird answer. I was at a tech business event recently, room full of people who theoretically know what they're talking about. And it felt like every other person I was talking to was an AI expert
Mm.
or an AI consultant. And so I left said shindig early, of course, because that's the way I roll. Thinking, well, that ain't good, right? Um, it's like, when your mom sees something and she's like, "Oh, have you heard about Pinkberry?" And it's like, "Well, they're out of business now," right? It's that sort of that slow catch. So I was feeling that way last night, is what I'm telling you. That being said, we're going to get into my predictions a little bit later, and I have a supporting industry that I think will be very compelling going forward in the years to come. That is driven by AI. So I don't think the bubble's necessarily going to burst, but I do think all of the talk about it might calm down a bit.
Let me ask you your experience as an entrepreneur and a business owner. You're not in AI, but you're in definitely an AI adjacent business.
We
Uh,
use AI significantly within our business.
right. And how long has
Yeah.
that been going on though?
How long have we used
Yeah, how
AI?
long have you been using it?
18 months, probably?
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah. Uh,
What has been your experience with that?
in my opinion, it is a tool, not the product, right? It is, in the world I live in, which is of helping people make better financial decisions. We use it as a tool, but not the full experience, right? Um, and I think businesses that have figured out how to do that well are doing fine. I think it's when you try to make the whole thing you're building is AI. I think those are the people that have struggled. I could be wrong, just my opinion.
Okay, let's take a quick break to hear from our sponsor. This is the IBJ Podcast.
This portion of the program is brought to you by HerculeanMealPrep.com. Hey, we are almost to New Year's resolution season, which means you're going to tell yourself you care a lot more about your health and fitness in just a few weeks. Well, don't wait. Don't wait to care about your weight and your nutrition. Go to HerculeanMealPrep.com. That is where I get every lunch I eat. No, really, my freezer is filled with the likes of Mediterranean salmon, maple bacon ghost mac, braised beef, white cheddar truffle mac. And today I actually had chicken pot pie, and it blew my mind. It's nutritious, it is delicious, it's convenient, and the macros are on point. So go to HerculeanMealPrep.com, tell them your boy Pete sent you. And if you're ever in one of the stores, just know I'm digging through the freezers with you. That's HerculeanMealPrep.com. Julie does bring up a good point here. I love that Pete names the show before taping it as the person who contributes the least to the show prep.
All right, we're back with this week's edition of the IBJ Podcast and my interview with Pete the Planner about his predictions for 2026.
All right, let's jump into your predictions. What do you want to talk about?
All right, let's begin. I mean, I have to do my big disclaimer, please. Here it is. None of this is investment advice. You know, I didn't do that great in school, y'all. You shouldn't listen to what I say. You should listen. You should be entertained. You should giggle and make fun of me. But do not react to any of this. Is that a good disclaimer? Why don't disclaimers say that on TV? That's a good disclaimer.
It is. It is. You should be, if you weren't already a live person,
yeah,
I would make you into one of those little AI chatbots that would just sort of give that with every story that I publish.
I kind of look like the paperclip guy from Microsoft Word back in the day. Clippy.
I love Clippy.
Clippy was elite. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's start with a first industry prediction I have for you, which is sort of an odd place to start, but this is how I feel. I think nuclear energy industry is gonna, I was gonna say blow up.
Oh, come on.
It's like, I didn't know, but I didn't say it. But I didn't want to say it.
You passively said it.
I don't know what you're talking about. I think it's over the next several years, I think nuclear energy startups or the right companies that can figure it out the right way are going to be very successful. And it's because of the energy needs of AI.
Right.
Plain and simple. And then, I'm like, hey, don't do what I say with investments. But I teed people up with one that makes you feel like you want to do something about it. But I believe that nuclear energy is going to have a massive role in the future of America. Let's pull back from stuff so specific and let's get into what I think will be the story of the year in 2026.
Yeah.
Not very well organized delivery for me today, but again, my caffeine's in a weird place. Story of the year. Does the U.S. government have to pay the tariff taxes back?
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm fuzzy on this. Why would they have to do that?
There is an idea out there, and the Supreme Court is considering whether or not the tariffs that the Trump administration vis-a-vis America levied were legally levied. And if they were illegally levied, just want to say levied a few more times.
Okay.
Then we would have to pay back, we, not you and me, but American taxpayers, you and me, we'd have to pay back all the people that we illegally collected taxes from. And so that would have a massive impact on the economy, that's for sure.
The decision would be made by the Supreme Court.
Yeah. Okay. So this is interesting. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I just need, do I say that every show we're together?
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
If the Supreme Court really does believe it to be illegal, do they go ahead and make that ruling and tank us paying back all this money? Or do they do like, it's fine. And then we stay in a position of power. You know what I mean? Because if they rule, then we got to pay it back.
So they have accepted that as a case or as an issue they will rule on.
They are. I don't know the technical way to talk about that, but I know it is something that they're taking under consideration.
Okay. All right. Ooh, well,
Yeah.
that's a big one.
It is a big one because now, but here's the weird part about that. The interesting part is, in a way that could actually stoke the economy, the consumer economy, because then you're going to be putting money back to these manufacturers and to the people that have paid these taxes. Now, the weird part is, if you're an American and you've paid a higher price on something, you're not getting refunded. The manufacturer or the importer is going to deal with it. So that is to say, they're going to have more money. Those businesses can grow, and they're going to become more profitable. Is one way to look at that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, my understanding is tariffs are paid by the importing body.
Yeah,
So if I'm GM and I'm importing parts for a car,
you're getting money back. You're getting money back, which helps GM. But if you're Mason King and you bought Chevy Nova, a sweet 2027 Chevy Nova, then you're not getting a refund off of that, right? So um, businesses would be cash flush theoretically if that happened, and I think that's fascinating. I think the government's still in trouble because they'll have trillions of dollars of debts they have to pay, more trillions of dollars, but it would theoretically help the importers.
wow. Okay. My head's spinning.
Yeah.
What else you have?
I believe, I think the housing market's going to reset. Okay, so let's talk about what that means. I think so. My average house price in America, I believe, just topped $500,000.
What?
Average home price in America just topped $500,000.
Oh my God.
Yeah. What do you care?
I don't.
Okay, well, that was quite the reaction. It's like, hey, man,
I
you
don't.
don't have to stroke a check.
I
It's
felt
fine.
so I just felt disconnected from, one of the subjects that I'm supposed to know a lot about
Oh,
because I didn't
sorry. Well,
realize it was 500,000.
yeah. Okay. I think interest rates are not going to come down fast enough to meet the buying requirements for $500,000 houses, right? So I think it will lead. This is the one. There's a couple of predictions I'm going to make that I'm likely to be wrong on, and we'll just talk about it next year. I think it will lead to a stale real estate market. I think you're going to see home prices rise very slowly compared to as quickly if they grew like during the pandemic.
Okay.
2 to 3% is what I'm saying.
Yeah. So when you say reset, what does that mean exactly?
Okay, yeah, good question. It's resetting the pace at which the real estate market has grown, right? It's like
Hmm.
at one point in time, it felt like you were just adding tens of thousands of dollars of perceived equity to your house every few months. I think that pace will slow, if not screech to a halt. I just think the pool of buyers, it's all about supply demand in my uh, perspective here. The pool of buyers is going to get smaller because the housing prices are to a point where they outpace the wages capable of paying for them. Here's some actual numbers for you. The 1980s, the average house price, average home price was 3 times the average wage. Okay. So in the 1980s,
Yeah.
you had a $50,000 job, your house costs $150,000. Today, it's between 7 and 7.5 times the average wage.
This is one of those things that I find bewildering about the housing market. I see so many homes advertised for 800,000 plus. And so I do the math in my head and I'm like, okay, so in order for the buyer to feel comfortable buying that house, their income has to be like a third of that 800,000. How many people in Indianapolis are making $250,000 a year? And who are the ones who are buying these million plus houses? They seem to be everywhere.
I don't know if this is going to make you feel better or worse, or certainly your listeners feel better or worse, but I've had that same question for 20 years.
Yeah.
I drive around and I'm like, who are these people? Like, I'm honestly, and if this sounds terrible, if someone should know, it should be me. I should know, like, who, man, I'm telling you, I think it all the time. And then you're like, you look at a neighborhood that was built 20 years ago where the home prices are still 700, 800 million dollars, and they're not even the new neighborhoods that are like 1.8 million. And
Mm.
again, I'm going through the lens of the geography in which I live, on the north side, as the kids say. So, no, but I every day I'm driving to work. I'm like, who is that? Who is this? Did Mason move? Look at that.
You know that's never gonna happen.
I know you're never gonna move.
2 years, baby. 2 years and we're paid for.
Other predictions.
Yes, sir.
I think the energy sector is going to uh, be very good domestically. I believe that deregulation will lead to more drilling, and you're going to see domestic energy prices take advantage of sort of world demand there. And I would also note that the recent deregulation as it relates to fuel mileage certainly stokes that too, where there's less of a priority placed on EVs. I guess Elon did lose, and there's more gas guzzling is okay again.
Yeah. This is a holdover from last year. I think you were really high on domestic oil production as well. I think in fact, your stock of the year, I don't think you specified
Oh,
which it was, but it was in domestic oil.
was it ExxonMobil? Is that what I said? I feel like on
You
my
didn't name it.
podcast, that's what I said. Well, let's take a look. I I'm so wrong. ExxonMobil's up about 9%. I mean, who listens to this? No, I'm just saying. I do think defense and aerospace contractors are going to continue to have um, stellar years. I didn't say interstellar years because Space Force isn't spending a lot of money yet. But I think that's going to continue to be a good thing.
Mm.
Um, I think cybersecurity companies are going to continue to thrive. I think as AI continues to advance, the threats just get worse and worse and worse. And again, this could be recency bias. I do feel like there's just been a lot of web issues in the last few months, sort of an escalation of um, outages and things like that. So who knows?
Yeah. If I had any talent for that kind of work, I would change jobs and I would get into that. I mean, that sometimes seems like the only safe place, to put your time is in security, and specifically cybersecurity.
That's why I've been going to the gym so I could protect myself. Um, okay. How about some dark predictions?
Oh, oh, those were the dark ones. Great. Okay.
Not really. I mean, oil is black gold. I have industries that I believe may struggle in 2026.
Hmm.
I also have to note, as I'm about to do this, I'm just thinking about some of these industries are industries that I serve as their clients, right? So I say this with like, I'm not rooting for you to struggle. I'm just saying like the tea leaves look this way. This
Don't
seems
tell
like
me.
a bad idea.
Don't tell me it's the news media.
No, 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 no.
Yeah, we're great.
It's thriving. Look at that microphone. Okay. I think what was interesting to me the last 9 months, at least, is that you saw a lot of American manufacturers that were not subjected to tariffs because they did everything here locally. And that was like part of the promise of tariffs was to support and stoke. I mean, that was like the intention
Yeah, absolutely.
or the intent. I don't know what's right.
Both.
Um, both. I believe that if the tariff thing goes the wrong way in terms of the Supreme Court, and the wrong, I don't know what the wrong way is. How about this? If the government has to pay back a bunch of taxes, those tariffs to people who were not protected via the tariffs, I think that puts domestic manufacturers at a significant disadvantage. Like
Yeah.
really bad because those other companies are going to be cash flush and the tariffs go away and it's going to whipsaw them. So that makes me nervous I like I don't even know what sort of company to give you an example of like, I don't know, a local clothing company. I don't know, but I feel like if uh, clothes manufactured in the Philippines or China or something like that flood the market again in a cheap way, then clothes made here are going to struggle for that. So that's one. That is a dark one. That is one. Housing, already talked about. Here's one for you. I think higher education, which is an industry, but it's not necessarily a business, but it is certainly a business.
Mhm.
I believe they're going to struggle significantly because of immigration policy. Okay.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
I had a few conversations with a few people who know some stuff. And I know that state universities have been forced to cut hundreds of millions of dollars because of a lot of reasons, government funding, this, that, and the other, but also because of the challenges of getting international students to come to the university and to pay full freight, right? It goes international students, out of state students, in state students, and those are all revenue centers. And when the top dog goes away, that becomes a problem fiscally for a university. So I believe that is going to persist in deep into 2026. Here's another one. And it's what I enjoy about these conversations, by the way, is I try not to say what is good or bad. Like I try to say, like, this is what I think is going to happen. I'll let the listener decide if it's good or bad. But here's one. There's a change in how student loans are issued and how much student loan debt can be issued. That's going to take hold. And so that is to say, college affordability is going to shift. Fewer people theoretically would be able to afford college.
Mm.
And so then you're going to have people say, well, I'm not going to push it to the limit. I'm going to go try to do this without higher education. So not for me to say whether that's good or bad, but I think it's going to happen. Let's see if I can give you one more. Okay. I don't like this one either. I think you're going to see small healthcare systems, nonprofit healthcare systems, community healthcare systems struggle as government funding has shifted dollars completely away from them. You could say the same thing through K through 12 schools, both nationally and specifically statewide. But I think you're going to see like rural. I can't say that word well. It's embarrassing. Rural
Yeah, I know
healthcare
what you mean.
systems struggle.
All right, I'm gonna lock this one in the vault, and then we're gonna open it up.
Woo. You know what's going to happen. I'm going to just start emailing you January 1st, 2nd, 3rd, like, nailed it, nailed it, nailed it.
I'm not sure I want that to happen.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me end on something good.
Yeah.
Hey, let me think what this could be. Pacers will rebuild and be fine in 2026,
Are you
27.
really?
What? I mean, when people get back, I mean, I believe in the blue and gold. We got this. I mean, I'm not involved, but
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. We signed a young man by the name of Talon Peter, a young rookie.
Yeah.
So you know I got a jersey that says Peter on it, so I'm pretty excited about that. So that's why I want him to do I want him to stay on the team so I can just walk around in my Peter jersey.
This really was your good prediction?
Yeah, that's
The
it.
one
That's my good one. Oh,
supposed
you
to
want
make me
another
feel
one?
better?
Let me give you another one. How about this? I think if the exports or pardon me, the tariffs go away, you're going to see like French wine prices normalize again. So and Italian pasta prices will normalize again. And those are good things.
Okay, I like that.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, that hits me where I live. That's good.
Yeah, I can tell.
All right, we'll do it. Go back to work.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
My thanks again to Peter Dunn. And a quick reminder, his column on personal finance appears regularly in the print edition of IBJ, and you can find several years worth of his work at ibj.com. And folks, before you get on with the rest of your week, there are a few stories in this week's edition of IBJ I want to draw to your attention. First up, a year after a $450,000 contract intended to help shape development for historic Indiana Avenue expired with no published results or recommendations, the city of Indianapolis has hired a new contractor. Taylor Wooten reports that longtime stakeholders in the corridor's future are experiencing deja vu. Also in this week's issue, Dave Lindquist unspools the strategy to bring broad clarity and long-range planning to an arts-focused campus in the Garfield Park neighborhood. And Mark Mazurik previews 5 topics that could shape the 2026 legislative session. Again, you can find these stories in the latest print edition of IBJ or online at ibj.com. I will say it is quite a bit easier to access all the latest business news and all of IBJ's data on Central Indiana's business community and economy if you're a subscriber. We're running a promotion right now that gives you complete access for $1 per week for 3 months, just to get a sense of how valuable and original our content is. Just go to ibj.com, click on the subscribe button. And thanks again for making time for the IBJ podcast. I'm Mason King. Hang in there, everybody. We'll be back again next week.